Hi, boys and girls. It's Grandma with the kids, here to do our first porch side story. For today, I thought we would start with oh yeah, it's me. See? It's me, Grandma with the kids. Today I thought we would start with this wonderful story called The Little Twin by Grace Paul. Look, twin cows and twin boys. Twins are at Megan's house and cows are near Kerry's house. Let's see. Oh, I wonder who the illustrator is. The Little Twin, story and pictures by Grace Paul. Look at this. Tommy was eating his cereal. The door burst open. Mommy, Rhoda's got twins. The big one's going to be my very own calf. Daddy said so. Benny was out of breath with excitement and the news from the barn. Tommy stopped eating his cereal. I want a twin too, he declared. I like this story. You're too little, Benny retorted. You have to be big like me to take care of a calf. I am going to train my calf for the 4-H fair. You aren't even big enough to belong to the 4-H. Tommy shouted, I am, too, big enough. Tommy yanked open the door and slammed it behind him, yelling again, I am, too, big enough to have a twin. Tommy ran into the barn. He saw Rhoda and her twins. The twins looked exactly alike, except that one twin was larger than the other twin. The big twin was standing up. The little twin was lying down. When Tommy leaned over to pet the little twin, she put out her tongue and licked Tommy's face. It tickled, and Tommy loved it. He loved the little twin too, right away. Oh, this is a long page. Hold on. Let me just fix my little feet. Okay. Tommy said, Daddy, can I have the little twin for my own self? But Daddy shook his head. You are still a bit young to take care of a calf, son, he said. It's a big responsibility. Perhaps when you are a little older and bigger, there will be another calf that you can have. But Tommy did not want another calf. He only wanted the little twin. And he just knew he could take care of her and train her too. So whenever Benny went to the barn to take care of his big twin, Tommy went along. Even if the little twin could not be his very own calf, he could be near her and scratch her chin. She liked that, and she always put out her rough little tongue and licked Tommy's hand. He called her my twin. When Benny held the pail for his big twin while she ate her supper, Tommy helped Daddy hold the little twin's pail. One day, Daddy was extra busy, so he told Tommy to hold the little twin's pail alone. The little twin butted the pail out of Tommy's hands. She jumped and knocked Tommy into a pile of straw. Look at Tommy's face. Benny laughed and laughed at Tommy. See, he said, you can't take care of a calf. You're too little. That made Tommy mad, And he yelled, I can too take care of my twin. I am not too little. And the next time when the little twin butted the pail, Tommy braced his feet and he held on. Some days, to give his calf exercise, Benny unfastened her halter and let her run on the barn floor. And Daddy would let Tommy unfasten the little twin's halter so she could run on the barn floor too. When Tommy tried to catch the little twin to tie her up again, she kept right on running. Tommy just couldn't hold on to her, so Daddy had to help him. See, you are too little to hold a calf, Benny said. You have to be strong like me. Tommy shouted, I am not too little. When the twins were a little older, Benny led his big twin out in the barnyard. Daddy let Tommy lead the little twin out in the barnyard too. Benny's twin kicked up her heels and ran and jumped about, but Benny held onto the halter. The little twin kicked up her heels and started to run. Tommy held onto the halter, but he fell down and the little twin dragged him through the mud. Daddy had to help Tommy get the little twin back into the barn. See, I told you you were too little to take care of a calf, Benny said. Benny always made Tommy mad. He yelled, I am not too little to take care of my twin. Benny said, she isn't your twin. That's her name, Tommy cried. That's what I call her, my twin. When Benny brushed his big twin and combed out her tail, Tommy brushed the little twin and combed her tail. The little twin liked to have Tommy brush her, and she would put out her tongue and lick Tommy's hand, sometimes his face. It always tickled Tommy, and he loved the little twin more all the time. All through June and July and August, Benny trained his calf to lead quietly and to stand correctly. He kept her well fed and brushed and groomed so that she would be ready for the 4-H fair in September. Tommy led and brushed and fed the little twin because he loved her much, so much. Every day he could handle her a little better. All the time he called her my twin. And how he did wish the little twin really did belong to him and he could take her to the 4-H fair in September, just like Benny. But he was too young to belong to the 4-H, and Benny kept telling him he was too little to take care of a calf of his own. By the time September came, all the family was sure Benny's twins would win the ribbon at the fair. I'm sorry, let me read that again. By the time September came, all the family were sure Benny's twin would win the blue ribbon at the fair. Tommy thought the little twin could win a ribbon too, if only he could take her to the fair. At last, it was fair day. Benny got up very early. Tommy got up early too. Benny hurried through breakfast and ran to the barn to get his calf ready for the truck that would take her to the fair. Tommy ran after Benny. Benny and Tommy ran into the barn. Benny's calf was not there. The little twin was there, but the big twin was gone. Benny looked and looked. He could not believe his eyes. Tommy looked. The snap was broken. They ran to tell Daddy the big twin was gone. Daddy discovered the pasture gate was open. He and Benny hurried down the lane to the pasture to look for the big twin. Oh, Nellie, what happened? Let's see. Tommy did not know what else to do, so he began to brush the little twin. He combed out her tail and he wiped her hoofs. A big truck drove into the barnyard. The driver jumped out of the cab and came into the barn. "Hello," he said. "Is your calf all ready to go?" And he untied the halter and led the little twin out of the barn. Tommy followed them. The man led the little twin into the big truck. The man said to Tommy, "Jump in. I'll take you along too." Tommy climbed into the cab and sat beside the driver. The fair was being held on the central school grounds. When the big truck stopped beside the big school bus garage, Tommy saw other calves and young stock tied under the trees. Boys and girls with 4-H cards fastened to their backs were brushing them and feeding them and carrying water for them. The driver jumped to the ground. He hurried to the back of the truck. He called to Tommy, "Come on, get your calf and tie her up. I have to pick up a couple more before showtime." He called to a man with a pad, "Here's Smith's entry." Tommy led the little twin out of the big truck. Aww. The man with the pad said, "Your name's Smith?" Tommy said, "Yes, but I'm The man did not listen. He wrote something on his pad and said, "Tie her over there. You're in the junior class." Tommy tied the little twin beside another calf. The calf had a green blanket on her back. There was a big 4-leafed clover with an H in each letter on the blanket. Tommy wished the little twin could have a 4-H blanket. I like this one. I like the colors and the pictures. Sorry. People were walking about and looking at the cows and the calves and the horses and chickens. Because he didn't know what else to do, Tommy began brushing the little twin. Someone stopped to look at the little twin. He said, "Now there's a fine little heifer calf. Looks like the makings of a mighty good cow." Tommy smiled proudly and kept on brushing. He heard a man call, "Junior class entries, bring out your animals." Some of the girls and boys untied their calves and led them into the field where the man with the pad was standing. Tommy did not know what to do. He was not Benny. He did not belong to the 4-H. The little twin was not the big twin. Then Tommy heard the man say, "There should be one more. Smith, where's Smith?" He looked toward Tommy. He called, "Come on, bring out your animal. We want to get started." What do you think will happen next? Tommy untied the little twin and led her slowly toward the group in the field. He stopped at the end of the line. The man said, "Lead your animals in a circle." They all started walking around the man. He looked very closely and carefully at every calf and its leader. Then he called, "Stand!" They all stopped and the little twin stood in the proper position, just as Tommy had taught her. The man said, "Walk!" Some of the calves began to run and jump, but not the little twin. She showed her good training and did just what Tommy wanted her to do. Good little twin. The man told the exhibitors whose calves had run and jumped to leave the field. He told the others to walk again. He told some more to drop out. After a while, only Tommy and the little twin and one other boy and his calf were left. The man looked the calves over very carefully. He felt their legs. He rubbed his hand along their backs. He talked with the other boy. He came over to Tommy and the little twin. He said, "Did you train this calf yourself?" He held a blue ribbon in his hand. Tommy said, "Yes, sir." Just then he saw his father and Benny come running toward them. The man said, "Is she your calf?" Tommy said, "No, sir, and I don't belong to the 4-H, and I am not Benny, I'm Tommy." The man said, "Well, that's too bad, because this is a fine little calf. A bit on the small side, but she has all the makings of a first-class cow. Your showmanship was excellent also. The two of you have made a fine showing. But since she is not your calf and you are not a 4-H member, I guess we'll have to give the blue ribbon to this chap over here." Tommy's father looked at the little twin and he looked at Tommy. He said, "Well, well, I'd say this calf does belong to Tommy. I think he has shown he is big enough to take care of a calf, and he has earned her. From now on, Tommy, the little twin is your very own calf. We found Benny's calf all right, but too late to bring it to the fair. We are mighty proud we were represented by you and your twin." Even Benny grinned at Tommy. My twin really was Tommy's very own calf. Tommy was so happy he almost didn't hear the man say, "Well now, next year when you are old enough to be a 4-H member, you bring your calf again to the fair. She will be bigger then, and it's very likely the blue ribbon will go to Tommy Smith and his little twin." The end. Love you.